So dudes, today I'm going to show you how to play T-Hunt, because apparently that's something that people don't know how to do already. If you've been tuning into my streams recently, you'll notice that pretty much every time before I start playing, I try to squeeze in about 30 or 45 minutes of T-Hunt. And the reason that I do this is obvious to most people. It's a pretty decent warm-up, but I also tend to do it a lot off-stream because it's a pretty decent way to get familiar with Siege's gunplay in a way that you can't really get out of a, quote, aim trainer like Aim Labs or Kovacs. T-Hunt is a very good way to get familiar with a gun's recoil pattern, to test out different zoom lengths to see which one you're most comfortable with, different attachments, yada, yada, yada. It's also a decent way to improve your confidence with aspects of Siege's gunplay that you're not doing so hot with. Here are my settings. I put it on normal, lone wolf, disarm bomb, which gives you 20 targets to shoot as you go into the building. I play it on pretty much exclusively ranked maps. Some people like to put it on presidential plane because of the nature of how the targets are lined up. You can practice your micro flicks maybe a little bit more efficiently. But I like to train my room clearing on sites that I'm going to be familiar with while I play ranked. For instance, I know a lot of people really do not like attacking on consulate. I used to be in that camp as well, until I started playing a significant amount of T-Hunt with Buck, and then I got a little bit more confident in terms of vertical play on this map. You can also play some of your favorite operators that might have breaching charges as well, and then practice the vertical play with those breaching charges. Little things like playing behind deployable shields that the terrorists set up whenever you plant the bomb, and sitting on rappels can help you get more confident and win more gunfights in situations that you normally might not be so comfortable with. As your map knowledge increases in Rainbow Six Siege, you're going to further understand little by little that this game, while it's not 100% centered around its gunplay, a lot of the gunplay is won and lost by map knowledge. It's won and lost by intel, opening up lines of sight, and executing on those lines of sight when you get them at the right place and at the right time. I've opened up these holes on consulate piano so many times in T-Hunt that I can anticipate them when I'm playing on defense, and I've even gotten a couple of freebies just by floor banging them with my primary weapon whenever I'm not even playing Buck or Sledge. So T-Hunt not only can help you with your aiming, your recoil control, and your general peeking and quick peeking, all that sort of gunfighting stuff, but it can also help you get more comfortable on a map, and it can help you execute strategies on that map more efficiently. T-Hunt isn't as efficient in terms of training raw mechanical aim, in my opinion, as a dedicated aim trainer like Kovacs or Aim Lab. But if you're trying to learn Siege mechanical skills, right now it's the best thing that you have, and it can help new players get their grips around a new operator that they might be struggling with, or it can help them understand a map a lot more effectively. My R6 tab is out there, and I'm sure that there are going to be plenty of people pointing that out in the comments down below. But if you're still skeptical about what I'm saying, just remember, it used to be worse than that. And I think that if you take these tips into consideration, your bad R6 tab might look a little bit better too. Another cool part about T-Hunt is that it can help you get better with your crosshair placement. And a way to get better with your crosshair placement is to understand the strategy of slicing the pie. So how do you slice the pie with a gun? It seems like a very archaic instrument to do such a thing. Well, it turns out it's a lot more efficient than you might think. To slice the pie or clear the room, you want to put your aiming point, ideally at head level, closest to the door frame or window or whatever angle is concealing what you are clearing. So if you look at it in a diagram, you are literally using your eyes as you go through the room and using the process of elimination to ensure that you're not missing, at least from where I'm standing, in this doorway, I am not glossing over anything as I go through the room. And I am taking care of anything that I see that is a threat one by one as I go from right to left. Except that guy who just ran behind me. Why do I have my aiming point as close to the door frame as possible? I have my aiming point as close to it as possible because if I put it out here and I'm just kind of floating with it, I only hurt him. That's the only reason that I did that. But if I have it just kind of floating out here and I'm clearing it, if I see somebody to my right while I have my crosshair over here, I have to make an adjustment to get rid of that person. So it's much more efficient to keep it as close to it as possible and then shoot it as soon as you see it, the target, that is. And obviously what I'm doing there is a much more slowed down version of what I do in practice. Eventually, the more you do it, the faster you'll be able to do it. You want to do it right as much as you can, and then speed will come later. But you just want to focus on that. Try to keep your crosshair placement as efficient as possible, and make sure you're not wasting any time as you go through a room, right? You want to go through the room as efficiently as possible, right? When you do it right, you don't have to make a million different corrections. When you're doing it right, you don't have to turn your DPI up really high and then do shit like this, right? This is cool in like fragtages and shit, but in practice, it's not efficient. You want to get in the habit of being as efficient as possible when you're training your aim in a T-hunt. Let's explain the concept of slicing the pie using an overhead view. Let's assume that you were trying to clear library. Let's say that you've managed to push up here. I'm going to use blue to designate an attacker. So here's the attacker, right? This is you, and then there's a bad guy hiding here. When blue comes in and is sweeping the doorway, right? He's doing so in an arc, but he's moving his aiming point throughout the entirety of the room as he scans it while concealing himself in the process. Eventually, as he looks throughout the entirety of this room, he's going to clear it by keeping his body behind the door frame, concealing it, and then looking at this angle, looking at that, and then the body moves just slightly over. That, and then that, bang. If this looks like a cop training video, that's because it is, kind of. This is literally what they teach people in firearms training in terms of how to go through a room safely. It might be a video game, but at the end of the day, you're still, it's still mock like cop stuff, right? I mean, like, guys, keep them politics out of my video games. All right, come on, everybody. Assuming that you have intel on somebody, let's say that you drone somebody out and you know that they're hiding in this corner of Solarium, you don't need to really go through the whole... If you drone the room properly, you don't have to go through that whole process of, like, looking at each angle. You can confidently just go for a swing, and when you swing it, it's pretty much just going like, and then trying to hit the guy as soon as you can. But you have to be careful to not overshoot your swing. If you sprint out too far and then you don't ADS in time, if you sprint out and then you're not ADSing by the time you come up the staircase, then all the guy here has to do is counter swing you, and then you're a sit and duck. So these are all nuances, like movement nuances in gunfights. These are things that you're not going to be able to really figure out unless you play Siege, unless you play the only Siege aiming mechanical trainer that you really have. And that's pretty much just by playing the game. These are things that you're not going to be able to learn by playing Kovacs or AimLab. So that's a general idea from one plat to another, possibly, on how to get a little bit better with your gunfighting through playing T-Hunt. And if you're wondering why a plat is telling you how to play T-Hunt, just remember, if you were Diamond, you wouldn't have clicked on this video. If this video raised your Siege IQ, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the Gregor Gaming Experience for more Siege videos like this. I'll see you all in the next one. Twitch streams and my Twitter in the description down below. Deuces.